Shalom and Aiboan. Welcome to Israel and Sri Lanka. Today we are honored to have with us Ms. Hadas Bakst, political advisor and first secretary to Israel Embassy in New Delhi. Hadas, thank you for being here during this toughest time. Welcome to Sri Lanka.
Thank you for having me.
So, my first question for you. Sri Lanka is grappling with its worst disaster since 2004 tsunami. Some of the areas like Gampala is now totally unrecognizable. Probably, I think that we remember 2004 tsunami, one of the toughest and dangerous moment, and this one is the most dangerous moment, natural disaster we faced since then. Israel is one of the first country to launch their support when it's come to tsunami 2004. They send so much aid to us, medicine, foods, also rescue teams, medical teams, and teams like that, and lots of support. And also 2017, we faced a massive flood, and Israel came forward and helped us. So Israel is not just friend. Israel is like much closer friend to Sri Lanka, and Israel stand by us during the hardest moments. So, what led you your visit to Sri Lanka at this exact moment, and how do you envision Israel's this role as Sri Lanka's reliable partner in times of disasters or crisis?
Well, first of all, I want to start with sharing my condolences to all those affected by this disaster. And Israel stands strong beside our Sri Lankan brothers and sisters that were affected. And as you mentioned, as part of my visit, we're here to give aid to those in need. The aid includes all kinds of equipment, such as beds and mattresses, water tanks, food for babies, bottle for babies, first aid kits, and many other necessities as well. And I'm glad that once again Israel is able to stand beside Sri Lanka in times of need. As you mentioned previously, Israel also stood beside Sri Lanka in times of need, such as in the tsunami in 2004 and in the disaster in 2017. And we will continue to stand beside Sri Lanka in times of need. With that being said, Israel and Sri Lanka bilateral relations go way beyond Israel helping Sri Lanka in times of need. Our bilateral relations are very strong. We have a lot of collaborations. For example, we have a lot of tourists from Israel coming to Sri Lanka. I can share with you personally that most of my family and friends have visited Sri Lanka and really loved it. We have, of course, lots of workers from Sri Lanka coming to work in Israel. And, we have a lot of potential for the bilateral relations for both countries in various sectors.
Exactly. I mean, Sri Lanka is one of the top destination for most of Israel's tourists, actually.
For sure.
We know that Sri Lanka is now grappling with this natural disaster. Cyclone Ditwa has overwhelmed Sri Lanka's emergency services, displacing hundreds of thousands of people and risking outbreaks of waterborne diseases in shelters. So, international support has literally become a lifeline for thousands of families. Is that critical? So, who exactly led and made this Israel initiative possible at such a crucial time?
The Ministry of Foreign Affairs, with the lead of the Shav agency within the ministry, and the Embassy of Israel in India, that is supporting this initiative, led by Ambassador Azar, and of course our honorary consul here, Mr. Dinesh Rodrigo, in order to give, first relief to those in need as soon as possible. As mentioned, Israel stands beside Sri Lanka in times of need, and I'm sure that we'll continue to collaborate way beyond.
Exactly. We were long industrialized. One of that was, for example, that our diplomatic relationship going back to 1948. So, what do you think about the future between our nations, our collaborations?
I think our future is bright for Sri Lanka and Israel. I think that we have historical sentiments toward each other. I think there's a lot of positive sentiments between both nations. So people to people relations, I think, are very strong. As mentioned before, we have already lots of cooperation that is going on. Future speaking, I think there's a lot of scope when it comes to, for example, agriculture and water cooperation. As you know, Israel is a leading country when it comes to agriculture technology and water technology, and I think that is definitely part of the future of collaboration between both nations.
Agriculture employs one third of Sri Lankans, and yet thousands of acres of fields and farmlands have been ruined by this flood, increasing the risk of food insecurity. We know Israel has pioneered technologies like drip irrigation and also wastewater management and other sort of technologies. So, what Sri Lanka can do as a nation to get benefits from these sort of technologies?
So Israel, I think, is a pioneer when it comes to irrigation technology and to water management. For example, when it comes to water recycling, okay, more than 92% of Israel's water is recycled and reused for agri purposes. This could definitely be something that could, benefit the Sri Lankan people. If it comes to drip irrigation, no more necessity for water padding, and that could actually create, I think, a big difference here for the agri community within Sri Lanka.
Exactly. So Sri Lanka has to rebuild from scratch. As a nation, we faced lots of crises even before this natural disaster. We were recovering from massive economic problems. So now we have to rebuild everything again. So, what is your message to people in Sri Lanka, to the families, to fathers, to mothers, and children, to the people of Sri Lanka as a true friend?
When we look at Sri Lanka's history, I think that Sri Lanka has dealt, with a lot of difficulties, whether it's disaster management, war, and other things. And I think that one thing that we learn from Sri Lanka is that it always overcomes and becomes even stronger and more united than before. And I am sure that, out of this devastation and difficulties, Sri Lanka will be able to grow, be more united, be stronger than ever. And I think that is something that we have in common, both Sri Lanka and Israel, because of course also Israel has known its rough times throughout their history. And I think that the people of Israel, become united in times of difficulties, in times of need. And that is something that I see that is similar in both nations. And I am hoping and praying that Sri Lanka people get out of this stronger and more united than ever before.